64 Tacos Podcasts presents Is This Song Good? This is episode 32. Britney Spears, Baby One More Time.
Welcome back to Is This Song Good? A 64 Tacos podcast where we are very professional. We are starting a new season. This time the theme is going to be why is this song good, or why is it popular? We're going to talk about songs that have reached number one on whatever charts, or seem to get an incredible amount of radio play time, or just seem to be everywhere you turn, you run into this song, and we're not quite sure why.
Somebody thought it was good enough to listen to it like a million times.
Yeah, so we're gonna start it off with a classic. We're gonna start with the Britney Spears hit "Baby One More Time." It came out in 1998 from the album Baby One More Time, and it definitely hit number one and sold a bajillion copies, and it was everywhere for a long time, all over the MTV. She just knocked her success just straight to the top, right from the get-go here. I'm pretty sure this was her debut. Is that right? Yeah, debut single.
Yeah. Yep, first single.
And if you haven't heard of Britney Spears, then you should probably just turn this off because
Spoiler alert.
She's huge. She's sold so many albums. And this is where it all began. I'm not a big fan of the song, personally. It's not my style of music at all. And quite frankly, I'm not sure why it became the giant hit that it is.
I think
the video.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I would say that the image and what she looks like had a decent amount to do with the success. And you were going to mention the video. Yeah, the whole like schoolgirl stockings, that thing.
Yeah, the provocative schoolgirl walking around in the short plaid dress and the unbuttoned white shirt and the stockings and all that, dancing provocatively through the hallways. I like that. That would appeal. I mean, there's definitely sex appeal there. She's an attractive girl. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
maybe
she's 16,
boys,
but
yeah,
but yeah,
maybe boys would be interested.
That's what they're selling.
Yeah, but why? I don't think that a lot of dudes bought the album. I can't imagine that was the target audience. So why are they putting her out there like this? Basically just displaying her as a sex object to try to sell albums to girls.
I don't think that was. I mean, I think there was definitely some of that there, but I don't think that was the main thing. I just remember when I was working at Target and in the music section, and some mother and her little daughter, I don't remember how old, probably like 4 or 5 years old, comes in and she's like, "What CD do you want, honey?" And she was like, "I want Britney Spirits." And it was that moment that I was like, it doesn't even matter what her name is. That they want it. And of course I had to hear the video and everything like 100 million times on the stupid Target Video Network thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think I think the sex appeal was definitely there. I just don't think it was very much a part of it. I think really the main thing was the catchiness of the song, the repetitiveness. I think that just kind of got into people's subconscious and just they kept humming it, kept thinking about it, kept replaying it over in their head, and And then they wanted to go and buy it. And of course, this was at a time when, Spotify and all the different streaming services didn't really exist yet. So it was like you had to have the CD, either the single or the full album. And so that was a huge selling point or push to, get those things sold.
Yeah, I think the sex appeal part is more about getting attention for it. Getting people to be like, oh, what's this? And then if the song isn't catchy, then it all kind of falls down. But yeah, I definitely remember it being everywhere back in 98 or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it was mostly girls that liked it. Maybe they wanted to be like her. I think sex appeal works on girls. Well, straight girls, in that they want, why would a guy ever like Brad Pitt, and whatever. It's like, well, you kind of want to be like them. You see them as being sort of an ideal. So you kind of like, oh yeah, that's a certain element of it.
To that respect, though, Brad Pitt's a good actor, and Britney's a mediocre.
Yeah, if he was a garbage actor, it wouldn't matter. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention about her. She might be a good singer. I just really hate her little vocal tics, her like Valley Girl sort of like growling, and I don't know. I just feel like maybe she is a very good singer if you get right down to it, but what's presented is annoying to me specifically, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, it could have been one of those lightning in the bottle type of situations where it was just the perfect timing. Something about that, I don't even know how to describe it, like baby doll vocals or whatever.
Yeah,
and the onset, like right before, like this was right just a year, maybe right around the same time when the boy bands started getting really popular, and so the sort of younger generation of music was coming onto the scene and taking over. And yeah, I mean, she's not the greatest singer in the world, but dang, people like that voice. Something about it they like. But like for the musical production of it, so I hadn't listened to the song for a long time, and of course I went back to listen to it for this, and right off the bat I was like, am I listening to that No Diggity song by because the piano, like the do like it had that similar type of like, I don't even know how to describe it, like a ragtime piano thing going on there.
Kind of like super limp funk, bass and stuff. Oh, yeah, it's a very, very dated production sound from that late 90s pop period.
Yeah, listening to it closely, I'm just like, wow, this passed for like good production back in those days.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, and like there was a trail of other young, blonde girls who just followed right behind her. You had Christina Aguilera, Jessica Simpson, Mandy Moore, all of those girls. Now, to varying degrees, and Christina can sing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And Jessica Simpson's decent. And I don't remember what Mandy Moore did, but
yeah.
Now one of them would have had the success they had, I don't think, if this song hadn't come out and been so huge.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it set a template for sure, and you had a lot of people being signed. And that's the thing, that in that pop world, it's all right. We need somebody can sing well enough, is going to look, good in the video, and don't worry about their musicianship. We're going to write their songs anyway. They're only going to be the voice and the face. They don't need the rest of it. So it was pretty easy, and it's been going on for a long time, and a lot of different.
Oh yeah, that's been going on for decades.
And this is a different podcast, but that's my complaint about country music is it's just pop music pretending to be authentic, real music, or whatever that is. But that's another podcast. The baby doll vocals is probably a great way to describe it. And man, it's just nails on the chalkboard for me. It's hard to listen to. I think one other decision they made, they kept the production really sort of sparse, for the most part. But I think they did the thing that makes the song work on why it sort of has, why it was so popular. One of the things that they did was it all feels very either minor or not. Like if there's like tonality, it's not a major tonality until they hit right in the chorus when she says, "Give me a sign." And then for the first time, there's a sort of like lifting because it sounds major for a second, and it lifts a little bit. I think that makes the chorus sort of like punch its way through. And I think that was that's probably just smart, pop songwriting there. But as I was listening to it, that's what I noticed about it. There's not a ton of tonality until that moment. Then you're like, it's brightness. And then it loops back into to the verse right after that.
So am I the only one who finds it a little disturbing that you've got a 16-year-old girl dressed the way she's dressed, asking to be hit repeatedly? I mean,
that was another
I don't know if
thing.
I don't know if it's meant to be literal or what I didn't do a deep dive into the lyrics, I guess. Yeah. But that's the line that stands out. And they
yeah. So go ahead.
They even acknowledge the fact that this is problematic by the title of the song is ... baby one more time.
Mm-hmm. And this is
daddy's beatings.
And so I haven't looked into this recently, but I remember at some point coming across like an article or a conversation about this, and because it is kind of striking when she says, "Hit me, baby, one more time." So I don't think it's like this sort of like deep, complex cycle of abuse thing. I think it was written by that Dr. Luke guy who's from, Sweden or wherever. I think it's just what he was trying to say, at least what this conversation was alluding to, was like, let's do it again, or like hit me as in like, like blackjack or something, like let's do it again, or give it to me one more time or something like that, rather than punch me in the face because I'm there's a circle of abuse going on here. I don't think that's what they meant, but they were clear, like you said, Dave, they were clearly aware that it could have been read that way. They didn't want to like put it in the printed title, as if you wouldn't notice it by listening to the song. But
right.
So anyway, that's what I vaguely remember being sort of like the takeaway. Like it wasn't literally about hitting, but it's not great. I agree. I think about that when I hear the song semi-regularly. Like, yeah, it just sounds like you want him to punch you, and there's no like sort of analysis saying, like, oh, and that's why this is bad. It's more just like, I like being hit. Like, I don't know, maybe there's an implied like 16-year-olds into like, being punched or something. And you're like, oh, I don't, that's,
yeah.
Well, I don't.
I mean, I'm perusing the lyrics here, and it's basically she's lonely. She misses the person. And when she's not with them, she's losing her mind. And then it's hit me, baby, one more time. Like each time, like it's like.
So maybe it's just like, well, I want to be with you, so come back to me or something like that, and
give me a little more.
But it is a weird choice of words because, like from a cultural perspective, whatever is going on with the song, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's
whether it's the 16-year-old sex appeal or the 16-year-old S&M, whatever.
Right.
It's like
it's no wonder that she turned out the way she did. I guess.
It's not easy.
Alone.
It's not easy to be a kid when there's a bunch of adults making money off of you. I'm never surprised when child actors or child performers have a rough life, because I think the deck's stacked against them.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if there's much more we need to talk about in this one. It's not a song for me personally. I remember it vividly from the late 1900s. But I don't seek it out with the exception of things like this. I'm
Right.
guessing you guys are pretty similar in that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, like hearing it every once in a while, but I'm sure not going to seek it out.
Right.
It's kind of in the same boat as like Spice Girls, or really really popular hit songs from the 90s. If I've got like a playlist going and this one comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Britney, and that's about as far as it goes.
But you have to say it's Britney, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely not like Whitney Houston, where
Right.
if I Will Always Love You comes on, I'm going to listen to that because
that's more of an endearing quality.
Yeah,
it has longevity, and where this is very. I mean, they're really. I'm sure they're in the same vein as far as like what the purpose is for the song. Like the pop song, make money type of thing.
Yes,
but there's just something about like that level versus like this, which just feels very, very commercial. Only.
She has a transcendent voice, Whitney does, whereas Britney is good enough. This will work. I think Britney brought the dancing and the look as much as her voice when the producers were looking for the next big thing. Whereas I think Whitney, I mean, she was a beautiful woman, and she did fine in her videos and stuff. But man, that voice first and foremost. That was the thing that really sold it. So I think that's why that holds up better. I mean, whenever I hear this song, it reminds me of that time and the radio and stuff. And when you get old enough, you're like, oh yeah, like you have this faint nostalgia, even though it's a song that you really, really didn't like at the time. But that's it, because I only hear it once in a blue moon. If it was on the radio regularly again, I would immediately start turning it off. Like, nope, anything but that, because it's pretty repetitive and also pretty dated sounding.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, there you go. Dan, what do we have next week?
We're going to bring this to the modern era, jump forward 20 years or so to Imagine Dragons, and I think the song is called Thunder. I mean, they certainly say thunder often enough in the song.
Yep.
It's said once or twice, at least.
Yeah.
All right. See you then.
I caught it on audio.